Hey everyone, Jesse here with Canine Perspective, and I'm back with another dog attack review video. We recently did a USPS seminar for Bite Prevention Month. I believe June is their Bite Prevention Month, and they had reached out to us about having this seminar. So we of course took the opportunity. It was a great experience. It was nice to have all these people essentially on the same page of like, yes, like we need to know what to do in these situations because they're far more common than you would think. I believe they had over 5,000 dog bites or dog attacks in the past year. And a couple of people shared their stories at the end of the seminar as well. Some very serious bites. We spoke to some USPS mail carriers afterwards, and they shared some, dicey moments and then obviously very serious moments. And it's just very interesting how their world is very similar to my world in dealing with, dog bites and attacks and aggression and things like that. Hearing crazy things that you would think like, wow, that actually happened. And me as a dog trainer, like, yeah, like I've seen similar, I believe it. Okay. So it's kind of inspired me to get back into doing these videos because there's clearly a lot of interest and need for these things, because you'd be surprised how many people don't know how to control their dog. We're going to see that here in this video. People don't know how to delatch a dog in an active bite or attack situation. This one's a bit different because it is a little bit more frantic. As opposed to a dog biting and holding, which in my opinion is easier and safer to delatch a dog because a dog is so focused that they don't want to release the bite. Whereas here the dog's kind of jumping and snapping and stuff. So it's a bit different. And this is a situation where prevention is definitely your best bet if you come across this. And that's something I spoke about during the seminar. That seminar is on my YouTube channel. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long. And I go over a total of 19 to 20 different videos. I tried to target USPS, Amazon delivery driver type videos because they're all within the same world. But there were also some that were just dog attacks. A couple I had already reviewed before on my YouTube channel, but they provided great examples of using body language to deflect the dog, choking out a dog, and using what you have available to control the situation, to de-escalate the dog, and of course get out of the situation. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip, the full clip, and then we're going to go back and kind of break things down. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go.
Time. While walking his dog, he spotted a woman having trouble restraining a large dog on a retractable leash. The dog lunges toward Corey, who
looks like it's on a harness, Flexi leash for sure.
Mauls his hands. Everything just happened so quickly.
Okay, so let's go back here because that's very quick. And this dog, as this gentleman will talk about, rips off the top two of his fingers, and they were dangling. Okay, and I know that sounds graphic, but that is the reality of dog bites, dog attacks, which is why I want to do these things, because this could have been prevented. Okay, and this of course isn't to judge the gentleman. In the moment, you're really not thinking like this could happen. And then when you're in the thick of it, you're panicking and you're like, you don't know what to do. He handled it as best he could. But this is why I did the USPS seminar, as like, you want to have your plan ahead of time, because when you're caught in the moment, panic sets in. Almost always flight response is what people resort to, which isn't wrong. But if you can't escape the dog and the dog can run faster than you, like it's going to catch you, you're going to get bit. So if you're going to get bit already, my opinion is that you should confront the dog. In this case, I don't believe confrontation would have done anything because the dog was in a very predatory state towards this gentleman's little Yorkie. So escape was his best option for sure. But a lot of times when a dog is coming at you, when you come at them back, they don't want the conflict. They don't want the fight. Okay. And I understand, because people think, oh, it's a dog, they got teeth. I go, right, but the dog doesn't understand that they have the upper hand on you. But the moment you show fear, the moment you go this or you pick up your dog, the dog goes, I got you. Okay, and they're going to target you for sure, and it incentivizes them even more to come after you because they see that fear response, and that's what empowers them. Okay, so in this case, him coming at the dog wouldn't have done anything. I'm positive of it. the restraint, the Flexi leash pulling, if I'm assuming look like a harness, also exacerbates the dog's energy. It makes the intensity worse. It makes the dog more reactive, more aggressive, because it's triggering that opposition reflex response, which triggers frustration. Frustration then escalates to aggression, and then we have an attack. Okay, this is not to get too much into detail, but this is something that's done in dog protection training. Put the dog in a harness, pull back, create frustration, agitation, have an agitator, allow the dog to attempt, and eventually release so that they can try to bite. Okay, that's just a quick little explanation. So here we see him looking up.
He spotted a woman having trouble restraining.
Right here. Okay, this is approximately 10 to 15 feet away. This is his moment to get out of the situation. Right, you see him going to pull his dog back. First thing I note as a dog trainer is this dog's on a Flexi leash. Okay, so in the moment, from his perspective, he can already see that. We see this dog, this large pit, coming directly at him on a Flexi leash with a woman who's being, dragged by the dog. All those things tell me cross the street. Okay, cross the street. Had he had done that, I believe the situation wouldn't have happened. Okay, again, not judging. He most likely didn't expect things to escalate to this degree. And then once it did, he panicked. There's also a point where the dog wraps around him. Obviously, that inhibits his escape because he can only go in one direction or try to step over and hopefully not trip, right? But you see how like one decision literally changes the trajectory of the situation. Okay, so here crossing the street would have been the best approach. One, if the woman had still lost control of the dog, he is that much farther away. And we haven't seen this yet, but this gentleman jumps in the vehicle, which was very smart to escape the situation. If you were to cross the street and maybe the dog pulled the Flex leash out of the woman's hand or whatever, could have hopped in the vehicle and then got himself and his dog to safety. Okay. The other thing that he could have done here is go the opposite way, right? That would be my least favorable approach. I think definitely cross the street and then watch the situation. Like, don't just like start moving and go like, okay, I hope it's all done. You want to keep your eyes on the threat until the threat is gone. Okay, but had the dog escaped the woman or still escaped the woman, he would have had a better chance because he could have just hopped up on the vehicle there, right? So we're gonna go and play again. So right here, you see the woman, one hand on the Flex leash and just being dragged by her dog. It looks like she's got maybe her phone or a purse in the left hand. So Flexi leashes paired with the harness, which I'm pretty sure the dog is also on a harness, are the worst combination to have, especially if you have a large breed dog like this, okay, or a power breed dog. I don't know why people use these tools. One, the Flexi leash can break. The line that is the leash that is connecting to the dog, it's a tension, right? Is if you look at the packaging of a Flexi leash, you'll see that they have warnings. There's a choking warning, obviously, because the leash can wrap around. There's a cut warning from the leash wrapping around, and then there's also the leash breaking and the tension acting as a whip. And that whip, that all that unlocked tension can cause physical harm, bodily harm. And I've known someone that this has happened to, where a Flexi leash broke and snapped and the tension came and whipped like around her legs, and she had scars around her legs from the lines of the tension just wrapping and cutting through her skin. Okay, so if you put a large breed dog on a harness, they have a lot of pulling power paired with this tool that's not meant to be used this way, and it's a highly likely possibility that the tension breaks because of all the pulling force from the dog. Okay, so right there on her part, the wrong setup for her dog. Also train your dog, right? So we can see this dog low to the ground, and the reason why the dogs have more leverage over you is because a dog's center of gravity is lower than a human center of gravity most of the time, especially an adult, because our center of gravity is at our hips. Okay, so this is why, like if you're on a boat, they'll tell you to keep your hips on the inside of the rail, because the moment your hips go over the rail, your center of balance shifts and you're falling into the water. Okay, so in this case, a dog is lower to the ground, leash going up, so their center of gravity is lower than your center of gravity, which gives them more pulling leverage over you. Okay, so here he goes to pick up his dog. This also increases the other dog's predatory drive because the dog is targeting his dog at first. All right.
Leash. The dog
Okay, so again, just drags. So right here, like, you see the dog dragging the woman. Get out of there. Skedaddle. Cross the street. Okay? I'm not sure why people delay with these things. Again, maybe they're thinking it's not going to go bad if they've never seen a fight like this. But even if I was ignorant, like, I would, if I see a dog looking like that, I'm like, I'm just getting out of here. Okay?
Toward Corey, who picks up his pup.
Okay, so right here, he thinks he's escaped the situation. He has not. See if I can put this to 50% speed. There we go, playback speed. We're gonna go to 50%. Okay. And he starts to walk off like, oh, like, I dodged it, right? Again, like, treat it seriously. If this dog would have gotten his dog is very likely to die. Okay, assuming that neither him or the woman know how to delatch a dog, which if this dog did attack his dog and latched on, you choke him out. Okay, because then the dog's got the focus. But here you see the dog's a little bit frantic, just kind of jumping up and biting. Okay, she says sorry. There he goes. Dog comes back. Okay, and this here, you can see the dog looping around and going to jump. So then he gets cut off by that Flexi leash, right? So this woman should have just shortened the Flexi leash and locked it at minimum, right? And to keep her dog on a short leash to get by the situation. Obviously, she's ignorant. She's not going to do that. This gentleman didn't cross the street, created a little bit of space. Looks like her dog's going to forget about it and then comes back around and targets him. Again, had he just crossed the street, I'm positive this would have had a very, very different outcome. Okay? So he jumps up and starts biting at the gentleman. We're going to go back to normal speed. We're going to hear this gentleman's story.
Everything just happened so quickly. I felt the dog grabbing on my hands, starting to, tear my hands apart. At one point, I could feel the dog's teeth ripping through my flesh and breaking through the bones.
He finally broke free from the dog's jaws and jumped.
Okay, so it looks like they cut out, and I couldn't find the actual footage, but it looks like they cut out a bit of the back and forth there, because this woman is already there and she wasn't there before. Okay, so you hear him, the dog, he could feel the dog, and what's the word? I can relate to this because I have a dog right here, and I remember feeling the teeth cut through my skin, but that he could feel his bones being like crunched, right? Because it's a pit bull. I believe the biting force required to get through a finger bone is that of a carrot. Okay, so imagine how much bite force you use to to get through a carrot. And this might just have been hearsay, right? But I remember hearing somewhere someone telling me it takes the same amount of bite force to bite a carrot to bite someone's finger off. Okay, so not a whole lot. So obviously this pit bull has more than enough bite force to get to this guy's fingers, and he does end up ripping off the top parts, and we'll see this of his fingers, and they were dangling. But somehow he happens to get away from the dog, and then his flight response kicks in, and then he jumps on the vehicle. Okay, which is correct. But again, this could have all just been done ahead of time and would have saved this man a lot of heartache, and he wouldn't be in the situation that he's in now. Okay, so this young lady comes out to help him.
To a car to escape.
I don't know how I jumped on a car because two of my fingers were hanging off.
As the attack started, a neighbor named Jessica rushed out to help.
Ah, right there. Excuse me. So let's review that. It's very quick, it's very short. So this is where the dog's latched onto his fingers. Okay. Playback speed. There we go.
As the attack started,
right there.
A neighbor
right,
named...
so you can see, right here it's blurry, but right there, the dog's got his fingers latched in his mouth. and the gentleman's trying to pull him out. This also probably caused more harm. Again, instinctually, if a dog bites on you, you want to pull away, right? Makes sense. The problem with this is, like, let's say if a dog grabs here, right, on the meaty part of your arm, and they pull, they're ripping muscle, right? Now, if the dog grabs it and pulls on their own, like it is what it is. But our instinct typically is to pull away when these things happen, and it makes it worse, right? I've seen this time and time again. Actually, one of the crazy stories that I heard from the USPS workers was a woman, and this was This was, I think, within the past month or so. I had seen this dog hundreds of times because Monday through Friday she's delivering mail at this address, right? Never an issue with the dog, and it's like a small dog, like a Maltese, little white poodly dog. For whatever reason, this USPS employee decided to pet the dog and went down on the dog's level. The dog ended up jumping up, biting her lip, and instinctually she pulled away, ripped her lip off. Okay, crazy, insane story, right? But because of the instinct, it made the situation so much more worse. So in that, from what they said, she was going to need facial reconstruction surgery, but just like horrible, right? So here, he's pulling his fingers, and this is most likely where his fingers are detaching because the dog's got them in the tip of its mouth. Right here, what he could have done is get the dog in a chokehold. Okay, that looks like a possibility here, is getting that dog in the chokehold because it's already at your fingers, right? As long as the dog's not pulling or thrashing, it's just holding. You got the bite happening already, right? And if you start to hold the dog and just choke him out, the dog will release. Me personally, if I was in this situation, a dog was attacking me, I would choke that dog out until unconsciousness, if not until it's just dead, okay? Because that dog attacked me. And it's hard to think that way, right? But this attack on this gentleman has had a great impact on him because now he cannot work. He is out of work indefinitely, okay? And again, he's going to go over it in the video. And I mean, that happened to me here. Like, I was out of work for, I'm a dog trainer, and I did what I could, but I was I couldn't do much because I was down a hand. And then here, because it's his fingers, and he says he uses his hands for work, but he works or orthodontist, or he'll say it. I don't remember off the top of my head, but again, the pulling away makes things so much worse. I understand the panic. If there's a possibility to try to choke the dog out, that looks like a feasible thing here, because he's right there, just able to wrap his arm around the dog. Again, people don't know this, and this is one of the things that I talked about during the USPS seminar. I was like, if a dog is latched, if there's some way or some means of you being able to choke out the dog, choke out the dog. It is the safest way to remove a dog without causing more physical harm, without escalating the situation, right? I know people tend to focus on, but what if the dog goes to attack you? Again, they're so focused on the bite, they're not really caring about anything else. I've seen videos of people beating up dogs and smacking with garbage cans, hitting them with hammers. Nothing is stopping the dog. Okay, and in all of those situations, I know for a fact if they would have been choked, they would have released, because they need to breathe, and also you're cutting off the airflow to the carotid, not airflow, blood flow to the carotid artery. They start to pass out and they start to lose consciousness. Okay, so all those things work to our favor. So I'm gonna go back and review this, continue playing.
Jessica rushed out to help.
Gets his fingers out.
Didn't know it was happening, but I was
Pause here. Go back to normal speed.
trying to break it up as fast as I could. Then I realized that the man who was attacked had two of his fingers almost completely bit off by this pit bull dog.
Jessica told Corey.
And she tells him, he goes to hop in the vehicle, and she goes, go in my house. I guess her house was unlocked, right? So thankfully he had an escape route through that. And at this point, once he pulls away from the dog, it looks as if the dog loses interest. The other thing I want to point out, again, going back to the choking out thing, is I don't know what this woman did because they cut that part out, but she's in the thick of it a little bit, but the dog is so focused on the fact that it's got the man's fingers in his mouth, that it's not caring about anything else really, okay?
A cover in her home where she offered first aid.
On the phone.
Right, so you see the dog still alert, right, still looking, but not attemptively or not actively attempting to get to the gentleman.
When there's blood all in my foyer, she's telling me his hands needs to be like above his heart.
Oh,
So this I didn't know. This is good to know. That's why I like watching these things, because I learn information. But that's good to know, that elevating the hand up above the heart, probably because it was just bleeding profusely because the dog ripped off the tips of his fingers.
For like circulation.
the owner of the dog that attacked him left with her dog before police and paramedics arrived.
And if you go on Google, if you look up YouTube videos and stuff like that, this happens more often than you would think. You got a person who has no business owning a dog like this, walking on very poor equipment. I'm going to take a gamble here and assume that this dog is not trained. Dog has behavioral issues. Obviously, it's leash reactive. I believe that the dog is not aggressive to humans. I believe this dog was targeting this man's Yorkie. And then the man got in the way, and it was just snapping, and it latched onto something that it deemed to be a part of the prey, because, you know, blood, all that stuff, right? Plus the man screaming, most likely. Screaming sounds like the prey dying, right? All those things intensify the situation. Those things incentivize the dog to keep the hold. So I think the dog was going for the dog, the Yorkie, and then latched onto the man instead. This happens, is what we call redirected aggression. And since they had a target, since they had something, it decided to keep it, okay? So woman doesn't know how to control her dog before the problem, clearly doesn't know how to control their dog after the problem, but then also just dips from the situation. This dog, they do find this dog, the dog is quarantined, but I've heard many, many stories of a person's dog attacking another dog and or a person, and the people just getting out of there, not waiting for police, not waiting for any of that stuff. It is more common than you would think.
This should have never happened. People should not lose control over their dogs like this.
Yeah, so right there, we could see, you know, these are just short little clips that they cut up, as I was unable to find the full clip.
Control over their dogs like this.
Right. So, very unfortunate situation. So this is why environmental awareness is so important. Again, he saw that threat coming from at least 15 feet away, if not further away, right? Because the moment you see it, if he would have seen the dog half a block away, and he's far from his home or something, and he's going in the direction, I'm like, I'm going to take the long way, turn around because I'm far enough away, loop around, come down around another block, take the long way, right? And or if, let's say, he didn't see it until it was that close, crossing the street would have been this gentleman's best bet. And I think, again, it would have had a much different outcome had he done that. So this is why I was like, this situation's a bit different. In other ones, you know, it's already happening. Here we had a little bit of a precursor and a window of opportunity to escape the situation. And if you have opportunity to escape, take it. Okay, take it. Because even if you know how to choke a dog out and get them to release the bite, that damage is already done, right? And you're gonna have to go to the doctor, all that stuff. And there's so many variables. We can't predict the situation. We can't predict how intense the dog's gonna be. Also, environmentally aware in the sense of like, where are your immediate outs? This is something I talked about during the seminar, where there was USPS postal workers being chased by dogs and they were running past vehicles, right? And I was like, you have an immediate out right there. Jump on a vehicle. I would much rather deal with having to pay for someone's roof or something, which I'm sure, I don't know if insurance covers that kind of stuff, but it's much better to have to pay for a dented roof than to have to pay for a medical bill and potentially lose work where now you're losing income. There was one video in particular of a USPS postal worker, and I'll probably do a future review of it, where it was seconds, like 2 to 3 seconds of a dog attack, a dog coming out the front door, latched onto the woman's arm here ripped the muscle off her shoulder, and she was unable to return to work. I believe it was permanently. She was unable to return to work. Okay, so now that woman has lost her regular income, period, right? So having an immediate out, just being aware, like, can I get behind a door? Can I jump on a vehicle, right? But if you can avoid the situation ahead of time, in this scenario, because I don't think body language have helped. The dog was too focused on getting to the target, which was his dog. He got in the way, got his hand, and then latched, and then just everything just kind of snowballs and spirals from there. Okay, so I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective. I hope you took something from this video, a little bit different than the other ones that I've covered, and I hope to be back with more. Thank you for watching.